Well, I think the time has come for Gibraltar to have its say in time for the 31st of October, which could still be the date of a hard Brexit. There'll be a European Council meeting in Brussels on the 17th of October, which is the date for which our general election has been convened. By then, we should start seeing the shape of whether there is a deal or not, whether Brexit will happen or whether it won't happen, or how it will happen if it does happen. And Gibraltar will need strong and settled leadership with a renewed, strong mandate by the time that the 31st of October comes, or indeed any delayed date of Brexit. But given that that is the date now on the horizon, and given that Gibraltar already has a deal in the withdrawal agreement, we are able to now call the election and get ready. Remember also, there could be a general election in the United Kingdom very soon. There could likely be also a general election in Spain, unless there's an investiture this week in Madrid. And so therefore Gibraltar needs to have strong, settled and leadership ready with a renewed mandate by the time that we hit the end of October.
What do you think the primary issues will be in the build-up to the 17th?
Well, I think that Brexit will be important, but it will not be the only issue. I think local issues will also be important. I think health will be important. It always is. I think housing will be important. It always is. I think the environment will gain in prominence in this general election campaign, testament to the work that we have done in the past 8 years by putting the environment in the center of decision making. People want more of that. I think Green Gibraltar is going to be the key issue in this campaign, also alongside all of the others. I think employment will continue to be an issue because people want to know not just that there is employment, but the type of employment that there is, and we'll be ready to deal with all of those issues as we move into the campaign proper.
I ask you this now, as in your capacity as a leader of the GSLP, how prepared is your party for this election?
Well, look, as you can imagine, as the leader of the GSLP is the party holding the trigger. So we don't press the trigger until we're ready. We've been preparing for some considerable time, and you'll see just how ready we are, because the button having been pressed, a number of things will now start to happen.
Well, as you will see, as everybody has seen, we have been ready for quite some time. We did a democratic election, totally open and transparent, giving opportunities for every single member of Together Gibraltar to stand for election already about a month ago. So we have already selected our slate. We are now in the middle of a crowdfunding campaign for the very reason that we mean to lead by example, and as we go on with our values of transparency and anti-corruption in order to ensure that everything is done fairly and openly. And we are now finishing our preparations for the manifesto and the campaign. And of course, we intend to lead a very positive campaign, which will be full of ideas and projects for the coming years for Gibraltar.
And what do you think the main issues for debate are at this election?
Well, of course, we're in the middle of a Brexit, so I believe that Brexit will be a dominating issue, and so it should be. And at the same time, I think housing will pose a big issue in Gibraltar for the obvious reasons that we know, and we have understood people to have big issues with housing. So I think those will be the dominating issues at this election.
Do you think it will be a clean campaign?
Well, I hope so. It certainly will be from our end, and I would urge all other parties to be. I think sometimes you can't help activists getting a little bit out of hand, but from our part, we will urge and we will try to promote all the positivity and cleanliness that a campaign can bring.
Well, look, we've been preparing for months. There's been speculation for quite a long time now whether the election would be called before Brexit on the March 29th first deadline, whether it was going to be before the summer, before the budget. And now the reality is the 10th and 17th of October seemed a very predictable time. So we're not surprised by this. We've been preparing for a long time and we're ready to go.
What do you think will be the main issues up for debate at this general election?
Well, I think one of the main issues is going to be the whole navigation of the Brexit challenge that we are going to have very, very soon. No one really knows what's going to happen, what type of Brexit there will be, and the political panorama is changing all the time. That calls for experience, it calls for expertise, and it calls for a sound and competent team, which we think we will deliver and present for the people of Gibraltar. Of course, there will be a number of other issues, the usual ones, housing. The environment is going to be a really big issue in this coming election, and there will be issues like the management of public finances, health and social services that of course concern people all the time.
Who will you announce as part of your election slate and when?
Well, look, political parties now start their processes of the selection of candidates. I'm not going to preempt the process of the executive. We are going to have a meeting. We will set an internal candidate nomination deadline. We will then have a selection process, and we will make our announcement in days to come.